The Babylon Bee Podcast.
Congratulations and welcome to the Babylon Bee Podcast. We're doing things a little bit different today because Seth Dillon decided to get some diversity, equity, and inclusion going here at the Babylon Bee. So with that in mind, I'm Travis, he, him, joined by Kyle, she, sure, and Jarrett.
Zem.
Thank you. I didn't want to presume. And today we're going to be going over the Antiracist deck, which was put together by Ibram X. Kendi.
Kendi. His name's Kendi.
Kendi.
His name is Kendi.
He, him.
He. Is it a he?
Yeah.
I totally thought it was a woman.
No, that's Robin DiAngelo.
Ibram X. Kendi is the one that said, the only way to stop discrimination, past discrimination,
by fear itself,
is by present discrimination.
Yes.
So, for those who don't know, the Antiracist deck is 100 meaningful conversations on power, equity, and justice. And frankly, I'm a little disappointed because I thought it was a game. I was like, oh, cool, Antiracist, the game.
I'm excited. We get to roll dice, fight monsters, fight white people.
Nope. Instead, we get to learn, even though there is kind of an instruction manual.
Yeah, see, this is how progressives have fun.
Step one, roll dice. Create your character.
That's right.
Get a character sheet.
Get a character.
Oh, there are instructions.
Okay.
There is no right way to have an anti-racist conversation.
There's no right way?
That's what it says. So why are there instructions?
Seems like
Wait,
there
what?
is.
There's no right way?
That's what it says.
Wouldn't it make more sense to say there's no wrong way? Like they're trying to say...
Oh, it's impossible to have an anti-racist
there's no right
conversation.
way. You can't do it.
You can't do it.
Huh.
But it is helpful to be open-minded, reflective,
opening my mind,
respectful,
respectful,
and empathetic to the experiences of others.
How is it helpful?
Well, this is a theater of the mind situation.
Okay.
So, for example, if I say, oh, you're surrounded by spike traps, you might say...
I jump over them.
choose
And then I'll say, roll for agility. That's a 1.
So I died. I
choose to reverse.
You call the spike traps the N-word.
I'm erased. Oh, no.
I know. This is a critical fail.
Wow.
Don't do that.
I use my medical droplet and I put it in my eye, and then I cross the spikes.
What?
What medical droplet?
Roll for that.
Well,
it's a small vial that I've been carrying this whole time.
It gives you anti-spike powers, but only by putting it in your eye.
It's like eye drops.
Oh, well, in that case, it has a plus 20 bonus.
And it helps you to see the real nature of the spikes, which is racism.
Well, then you don't even have to roll. You just walk through it.
Yeah, I can just walk through them.
Really, all you're rolling is to see if you accidentally drop the vial.
But if you don't put the drops in your eye,
or the
spikes will kill you.
And they just hit your face or something.
They'll kill you. Roll for that.
Well,
I got a 1. Is that a good roll?
No, you dropped the vial onto the spikes, and now the spikes are lecturing you.
You try to open the child-proof lid on the...
But it turns out you are a child.
Roll for strength.
I can't push down and turn at the same time.
Yeah. So to continue with our instructions, start with the first card in the deck, or pull one at random.
Oh, geez. 2 different ways to play.
I think the random one sounds more fun.
Choose a single card as the topic for discussion, or commit to answering a handful of questions with your group.
I feel like they really phoned in the instructions.
They're not instructions.
You could make a little house out of them.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want with them.
Our suggestion, first, take a deep breath in through your nose.
Really?
Yeah.
We're just raw dogging the air here.
Raw dogging.
And when you breathe out, extend your exhale a few seconds longer than your inhale.
Is this only for white people, or is this for
it does not say.
Everybody?
That's good. Discussing racism and anti-racism is not always easy. Plant your feet firmly on the floor. Establish ground rules with your group.
Ground rules.
Oh.
I'm uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, raise your arms and necks.
Yeah. And then begin.
Okay.
Let's play.
Our characters have been created. We're ready to start. You know, it is funny because there are some board games that you'll play where, like, I want the designer to tell me, this is how you play the game. here are the rules. I know that I can change them if I want to, right? Like I know, like, it's too hard. I'm gonna make one less monster appear or whatever.
Right.
And then sometimes you read a rule book, especially ones where like some amateur guy made it on Kickstarter, and they're like, put a couple monsters out there, or add more if it's too,
or whatever.
Just do whatever you want. You're like, you're writing the you are writing the rules. I want to know what rules it's supposed to be played.
I can do whatever I want. I know I can do whatever I want.
I understand. All right, so let's see what.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So Ibram X Kendi, hopefully he's a better anti-racist than he is a game designer.
Yeah, him.
We're all feeling pretty good about where the country's headed right now, right? But you know what? I'm concerned because it's when we let our guard down that bad things happen. That's why I always prepare for emergencies no matter how good or comfortable life gets. And the only brand that I rely on for my security and safety in an emergency is my Patriot Supply, whether that be their emergency food kits, solar power generators, or water treatment systems. They're the best in the business. And right now, you can get their 4-week emergency food kit for $50 off. Their 4-week emergency food kit includes some of my favorite meals like creamy Alfredo pasta, it's great, and addicting snacks like sweet banana chips. With warehouses located across America, My Patriot Supply can send you your 4-week emergency food supply kit in as little as 1 day. So go to preparewithb.com, get your 4-week emergency food kit now, but don't wait. Emergencies can happen at any time. We know this. That's why you go to preparewithb.com to get your 4-week emergency food kit right now. That's preparewithb.com.
Just to clarify with everyone, we're not going to do news today. We're going to do anti-racism. So buckle up. Let's get anti-racist.
Put on your anti-racist hoods. Or any
Put
headgear.
any
Any type of headgear.
tiaras.
Put on your anti-racist hoods.
Okay.
A yellow card. Ooh, a warm-up.
Oh, this is a warm-up card.
Oh, it's a warm-up card. Okay.
What is the purpose of this discussion today?
Oh gosh.
That's the question.
I'll give you a hint.
To
There is
root
a right
out-
answer for this.
To root out my inherent racism and expose it in others.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
It's always been my personal belief that you have to believe you can change in order to bring it about. And that's how I feel.
So to believe
interesting.
is the first step.
So, see, I thought the purpose of this discussion was to do a podcast. So
Well,
Okay.
that's your truth.
that's my truth. I'm
I mean, there
speaking
is
my
no-
truth to power.
There's no right way to do this.
Yeah.
There's no right way. There is no
So,
good way to play this
there's
game.
no
That's
good
true.
way
It says it
to
in the
play.
rule book.
It
So
says
do whatever you want.
it says come to a consensus so you know where you're working toward together.
Okay.
What you're working toward together.
I
So I
think
guess
we're-
our consensus is
Whatever.
anti-racism, right?
Or just whatever.
Interracial. All right.
Yeah.
Here's another warm-up card.
These are boring, the warm-up cards.
Well, let's do one more and then we'll... Why is talking about race important? Why now?
Well, I would say to keep racism alive.
We want it alive.
Right.
Because only by our differences...
Can
we
we
be-
be prejudiced against each other?
Yeah.
Which is the goal.
Before we continue the discussion, I want to mention that the rule book does contain definitions.
Oh,
And
okay.
we should all agree upon these
Oh.
definitions.
That
might be
We
helpful.
can't really have a good discussion about race
Uh-huh.
without agreeing. So race, it says race, the definition is a power construct of blended human difference that lives socially.
So it's not ethnicity?
It's a power construct of blended human difference
It's a
that
social
lives
construct.
socially.
What?
That's the philosophy.
It's a power construct of blended human difference that
Difference.
lives socially.
Blended human difference.
It's a power differential,
Power construct.
like yeah,
Okay,
like
so-
Papa Marx once
So
said.
this is really, it's racism. Race is strong people versus weak people.
or rich people versus poor people.
Or poor, yeah, okay. All right, so not the color of your skin.
So it's not the color of your skin.
I've learned something today.
It's just a power dynamic, right?
What's next?
What's next?
Racist idea. Any idea suggesting that one racial group is inferior or superior to another racial group in any way.
I agree with that.
I agree in the sense that inherent, like somebody who's born this race or that race or that race, they're not born with any kind of inferiority or superiority beyond what that individual might have been born with. You know, like if someone's born with no legs, That's irrespective of them being white or black or whatever, but they would be inferior at running.
Yes, but
You know what I mean?
according
it doesn't have
to
anything to
the
do with them being black or white. Or
social definition of race,
a power construct.
a power
of
construct,
blended human difference.
whatever he said at the beginning,
Right.
that also means that there is no better or worse culture, is what he's saying, right?
It's interesting because I don't actually think that this is what he thinks racism is. I don't think that Ibram X. Kendi, he defines racism quite differently than this.
Yes.
Saying that
Doesn't
it's just,
he in his book? Yeah, he
like
says...
saying, oh, one racial group is inferior or superior to another racial group in any way.
Well, this is Antiracist Deck Junior.
Oh.
This is a junior edition.
No, but doesn't he
It takes
define...
place at a carnival.
He
Instead of,
actually defines racism as prejudice plus power.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so that's really his definition.
Because the idea
that's
is
not
that
included here.
blacks
No,
can't be racist.
That's weird. You're right.
Yeah.
So without power, you cannot be racist.
And he also says that equity is when two or more groups are standing on a relatively equal footing.
That is not what equity
But that's
is.
not what equity is.
No.
That's not what he thinks
That's
equity
equality.
is. Yeah.
Yes. No. So equality
Is everyone has the same opportunity.
opportunities.
Equity is everyone... Well, you know what Kamala Harris says, we don't always start in the same place.
We don't always start in the same
Right?
place.
Right.
Right?
What
Equity.
does not racist mean? Why are so many people invested in believing that they are not racist?
It's impossible. Not racist.
This is an awareness card.
I would just like to say that I was born in a middle class family.
And? Oh, okay. So what does not racist mean? It means I was born in a middle class family.
Just as a preface, I just wanted to say
So-
I was
Oh, okay.
born in a middle class.
According to Kendi, not racist is not possible unless you are black or brown.
So his racist definition says one who is supporting a racist policy through their actions or inaction or expressing a racist idea. That's a racist.
So
So if there's a racist policy out there, so let's say there's a law saying black people can't go to 7-Eleven, and I'm not aware of it or I kind of know about it, and I'm like, I'm just living my life.
Sure.
It's weird that 7-Eleven has that law. That's kind of a strange law. But I don't do anything about it.
you're racist.
I am a racist.
You're racist.
Yeah. Which,
So-
according to him, says that a racist idea is any idea suggesting that one racial group is inferior. That means that I think that black people are inferior
But
because I haven't done anything
Right.
to stop this 7-Eleven law.
through your inaction,
Yeah.
Right.
you are enacting racism.
Which, by virtue of that logic, that is why the police are racist. Because they, by and large, arrest
I
black
also
people.
like how the presumption that's built into that question that you read, where it says, like, why are so many people so invested in not being racist?
I know.
They start out, the presumption is built into the question, right? That,
Yeah.
like, everybody's racist, but there's some people that don't think they're racist. Why is that?
Why is it offensive for you to call me a racist?
Imagine being in an actual corporate environment and they pulled out that card and you're like,
Oh, this
well, I'm not racist. By that definition, I don't think people are inferior to others based on race. And
dude, this happens all the time. Like,
and
this
they're
is
like,
a very
no,
real
no,
scenario.
it says, right? And that's what they're doing in
Yeah.
all these DEI courses.
No, that's exactly right. But you know what's weird is this little instructional booklet with definitions are closer to the actual definitions of these words
I know, it's like a bait and switch.
than in Kendi's book.
Yeah.
And also in all the DEI and all the critical race theory, all that stuff. So this is actually closer.
So
No.
have we been through yellow questions so far?
We did a couple yellow
Yeah.
questions. Those were the warm-up questions.
Okay, so the green questions are called action questions.
Okay, these are
Is that
awareness.
pink? Yeah,
Yeah.
pink is awareness. Crack open a broader awareness of racism's pervasive nature. What don't you understand? What are you not aware of? These will encourage you to see every moment as an opportunity to make anti-racist choices. I'm excited. So what's the
Yeah.
awareness question?
Let's go.
What is cultural appropriation?
Oh, man.
Why is cultural appropriation a sensitive issue for many people of color?
I would say cultural appropriation is like if you take a cultural thing and you make it your own racist, such as if you were to take a movie about a white princess whose name is literally Snow White, and then you were to change the skin color of that character
To
blue,
let's say
green, any
brown.
color.
any color but white.
But like literally, if the name of the character is Snow White and you change that,
Yeah.
I think that's cultural appropriation.
Yeah. There's other examples too.
Can you imagine saying that in an actual corporate?
Yeah.
Like, would you get fired? You would just get fired, right?
Right. They're like, wait, that doesn't count because it's prejudice plus power.
Right, but that's not according to the book. I have
Not
the
according to
rule book.
that book. Right.
I have the
Cultural.
rule book.
They keep moving the goalpost.
In the player's handbook, it says right here. Wait, not right there.
It's in the green part.
Right there.
Yeah.
Don't make me tap it.
Yeah. But there's other examples of that recently.
Looking for ivermectin or mebendazole? Let me tell you about All Family Pharmacy, a pharmacy you can trust. They believe in medical freedom, giving you access to safe and effective treatments without politics or big pharma getting in the way. Since 2021, they've helped over 50,000 people with ivermectin for COVID, parasites, and cancer support. They also offer hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, and over 200 other medications. Ivermectin, the miracle drug, being promoted by RFK Jr., is just $3 per capsule. And it's all made in the USA. They even provide the doctor's prescription, so you don't have to go through the hassle of finding a doctor. Go to allfamilypharma.com/B, that's BEE, to get the medication you need when you need it. Again, visit allfamilypharma.com/B, BEE.
Cultural appropriation is when my daughter wanted to dress up my pet dog as Hey Hey from Moana.
That is cultural appropriation.
'Cause
Unless
it's a
your
dog.
dog is
Well,
Asian
the
Or
problem.
chicken.
or then it's fine.
Well, when you have I guess when you make a caricature of a culture is sort of what cultural appropriation is. Where if you are, I don't
even think that's what they would say is cultural
No, they're
appropriation.
that's
saying
what's
you're taking their
offensive.
culture and you're appropriating it.
But that's what's
yourself.
offensive about it. Like, for instance, Kendi said something when he was being interviewed by someone, like braids, like when women have braids, or like when men wear braids, they're somehow culturally appropriating black hair.
Right, but it's not about caricature. It's about they say, we invented that and you took it. You know?
Right. Will Witt had that thing where he's like, it's called a Viking braid. Will Witt.
Very uncomfortable with the mention of Will Witt.
Where did he go? I want to know where he went.
Would you guys like to hear an action card?
Oh, I'm very excited.
This is
to do
action
that.
we need to take.
Excuse me. Was that an action?
Bless you.
Action card.
When someone neither actively supports the status quo of racism, nor actively opposes it, what is the effect of their inaction? Does inaction uphold racism? Oh, wow. Your thoughts?
Yes.
I'm still trying to grasp this question.
It's such a leading question.
Yeah,
It's a yes or no question, which sucks.
This is action? There's no action in this.
But the action, it's trying to get you to
It's
talk
trying to
about
get you
action.
not to be inactive.
Right.
Because inaction is racism.
It's trying to get you to be an activist, an anti-racist.
In a sense, this is the trolley problem.
Yeah.
The trolley problem where you're...
Do you want to kill the white people or the black people?
That's not where I was going with
In
that.
the trolley. There's white people in this trolley.
The trolley is going to run over someone guaranteed. Like 5 people. But you can change the tracks and kill only one person. By inaction, are you therefore murdering 5 people? I would say no.
Okay, but in the 7-Eleven example,
Right.
you're not killing anybody,
Okay.
right? Like, so is there a sense in which you can be guilty through inaction? I think so, depending on but it's all situational.
It's
right?
all situational.
If I go into a store and people are like, "Hey, look at that black guy," and they start punching him, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get my Slurpee and get out of here. Mm-hmm. Maybe in some sense I'm guilty of.
Yeah.
But I don't even see that as a race. Like maybe racism is motivating these people, but that's just a common decency. Like I need to help this person.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tend to see things with action in terms of individuals helping individuals, loving your neighbor, and that we're not necessarily responsible for every systemic injustice in all of society. And we have that entire burden on our shoulders that if we don't attack the system, we're somehow part of the system or like.
Well, I think you make a good point about it because it seems like you have to be able to see it in order to do something about it, or you have to like for instance, it says in there, it's by supporting a racist policy. And so there's this like idea that there are racist policies out there that still exist.
Right.
And if you can point one out to me, I think all of us would go, yeah, let's get rid of that stupid racist law. Like, of course,
I believe black people should be able to shop at 7-Eleven.
I believe,
the same as everyone else.
I also think, right. So I don't know. It seems to me like you'd have to point it out. And if somebody else was standing around kicking a bunch of white people.
Your guys' feet are not firmly planted on that.
Oh.
Sorry. I wasn't taking this seriously.
No, you're right. And part of the problem with this kind of a conversation and what they're doing with language is it makes you think, oh yeah, if there's a racist thing and I don't do anything, then wow.
Well, I must be
a racist person. But at the same time, you're looking at it like the things that they say are racist policies are like the most inane,
really obscure or really general. Like systemic racism.
Like what's the one like, the corporate culture that demands that people show up to work on time is racist. It's white supremacist. Like that's a conversation that's being had, like that's a racist policy that you need to fight against. And if you don't,
Because the Latinx community don't like to show up on time, right?
They're called Latine now. No,
they're very hardworking. It's more of the Moana folks.
It's more.
No, I'm just kidding. Hey, let me see a few of those cards. I'm gonna start.
I know a lot of white folks that don't show up on time, including me.
Rifle through these here. All right, if anybody finds a good one, let's.
So this one kind of goes off of the one we just did. So let me just ask this really quick. When Spider-Man was in the upstairs wrestling manager's office and he didn't get paid, and then he was upset, so he let the thief just walk on by, was he therefore guilty of killing Uncle Ben?
Is that really what it says?
No. No, it says almost all of us have some level of privilege and power. It's just a statement.
Was Uncle Ben black?
Wait, so
the rice
almost
the rice
all of us?
Was.
The rice one was black. Not the one in the movie.
Wait. He was in the cartoon. You just said one, though. Almost all of us have some level. Yeah.
Almost all of us have some level of privilege and power. How do we parse out the difference and realize we each have some level of both depending on the space, time, and form of activism? Parentheses, resistance versus policymaking, close parentheses, question mark.
That second part was gobbledygook, but I like the first part. And it's interesting because the only reason why I like it is because I've been in these conversations in different environments, like even in church and different places. And what they don't do is what they don't do is say that, which is everybody has some level of power, and your power is different, and it's very different, and it's really hard to quantify, your level of privilege, whatever it is. I know Jordan Peterson always talks about like good-looking privilege and all these different privileges that people have, like, and I don't know,
like smart privilege.
Smart privilege, yeah. Like there's a lot of privileges that they're not quantifying right now. Stop smelling those cards.
Another thing I will say is the cards.
It's making me uncomfortable.
Cards in this game do not smell very good.
Well, I got this from Goodwill,
which is olfactory oppression.
Is that really what olfactory oppression means? I actually was wondering about that because it's been out there.
Something that smells bad?
Something that smells bad to us.
And your olfactory senses?
And we have some prejudice against certain smells because...
Yeah, it's like if you go through
is that what it is?
Mexican neighborhood and you're like, oh, what's that smell? Because of the ethnic food that you're not used to. That's olfactory oppression.
That's cumin.
What are your racist superpowers? What are your anti-racist superpowers?
I was going to say.
Wow, that's really important how you read that.
Let's not even joke about that one.
Heat ray vision.
It's not inherently anti-racist,
but it can be.
But you can use it.
You can use it on a
service.
Racist.
In that case, I'm going to say freeze breath.
Oh, okay.
Black elites have less wealth than white elites. Is that true?
Depending on the Pacific black elite and the Pacific white elite.
What about the Atlantic white? What about the Atlantics?
Can someone who primarily...
Is this one of the ones where if you answer it, you are racist?
Yeah.
You just answered it.
Yeah, I know. There's all those gotcha questions. If you answer this,
can
you're
someone
racist.
who primarily advocates for white women truly be a feminist?
Oh, I hate that
I don't even
one.
know. I don't even know what to say.
You're
Roll
not
for
allowed.
diplomacy.
Roll.
You're not allowed to advocate for white women if you're an anti-racist.
White privileges. What I can read. What privileges do poor white people typically have when compared to poor black people?
Wait, what? Say that again. What
privileges do white people have?
Poor white people have
Poor white people.
when compared to poor black people.
It's gonna depend on where they are and like how old they are and all.
I like that half these
I'm
questions are literally just quotes from Ibram X. Kendi, and then it says, "Discuss why this is such a great quote."
Right.
The only way, here's a quote, "The only way to undo racism is to constantly identify and describe it, and then dismantle it." Quote. So that's an Ibram X. Kendi quote.
I don't think
Why
they
is
ever.
this an important part of dismantling racist policies?
I don't know that they ever get to the dismantling part.
Well,
That's the issue. They don't. They just get to identifying and explaining.
they try
Never
to
dismantling.
No, they do dismantle and deconstruct, but it's just the dumbest stuff, right? Because it's like, it's like what's the saying? Like the demand for racism is outpacing the supply of racism. So they have to like find some little thing like, oh, there's this law
This
where
is supply and demand.
yeah.
Boy, that's a really good way to say it. Where did you hear that? Or
I don't
did you
know.
make that up?
No, I did not make that up. It's
Because
somebody-
that's really smart.
yeah, it's like they have to make stuff up, right?
Yeah.
Here's another quote. The
Wow.
good news is that racist and anti-racist are not fixed identities. We can be racist one minute and anti-racist the next. Why is this such a liberating idea? Why is this? That's not liberating at all to sit there going like, am I being racist this minute? Am I being I'm being racist this minute.
I guess
I've
from their
fallen
perspective,
grace.
the liberating thing would be that you don't have to be
You can change
racist
from racism.
that next minute.
Yeah, but it's
that's-
more liberating to be like, I'm not racist because I don't hate anybody.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty liberating. We've talked about this before, but I'm pretty aware of my own sin. Like I know what sins I struggle with.
We're aware of your sins.
You are too. I've told you. Yeah. See, that's the thing about me is that I know I've asked the Lord to reveal to me if I'm racist, and I am not racist. And that is not something I struggle with. I don't hate people based on their race.
Yeah, and I feel like most of us, like there's probably people who grew up,
Yeah.
50 years before us or 100 years before us that was more of the cultural sin at the time. But every culture, every generation has its sins, And I feel like they're trying to make that our cultural sin when most people are like, what?
Well, and they would say, I'm wondering about this because I do get really angry at the anti-racist people. You know what I'm saying? I get mad at those folks, and that bothers me. But that doesn't make me a racist. It just makes me, these peddlers make me angry.
How do you define transphobia?
Oh my gosh.
How do you define homophobia? How do you define queer anti-racism?
Whoa.
Is that all one
How
card?
do you?
No, I think there's
How
like three
do
more.
you define that? Nobody knows.
Black
Queer?
transgender women reportedly have the lowest life expectancy among any racial group. Why
Wait.
do you think that is the case?
Which group?
Black transgender women,
So black
So
men,
black men.
but trans ones.
that have undergone
That
trans
become women.
surgeries,
Yeah.
Well, are they committing suicide at a high rate? Is that why?
I
they
think,
also die of infection.
Oh, ouch.
I think suicide, and there is a lot of trans on trans violence in
Is
those
there?
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very violent folks. I probably shouldn't have said that. Can you cut that? Why do some elected officials frame Latinx immigrants as invaders and white supremacists as patriots? What does this mean about how they view America? Boy,
Frame Latinx immigrants as invaders.
yeah, and white supremacists as patriots.
No one does that.
Nobody does that. You know what I've realized though? So the word white supremacy means Western civilization. That's in this definition.
Yeah.
They're talking about Western civilization. They're not talking about white supremacy. They're conflating the two ideas. So if you're a Christian, if you grew up in this culture, therefore you're a white supremacist because this is a white culture and it dominated through colonialism or whatever, dominated this area of the world, Europe, white supremacy. So they're saying it's the same thing. They're just using white supremacy as the term.
Okay.
So that they can take down Western civilization, without saying they're taking down Western civilization.
Describe some of the conditions in neighborhoods where poor black people live. that class anti-racists should be focused on changing instead of changing the people.
Class anti-racist?
Class, yeah, that class.
So there's
class?
other types of anti-racism?
Class anti-racist. Oh, because it's like
Oh,
you could be like a
classist.
feminist anti-racist. That's your focus is on feminism. These people are focused on
Feminism isn't a
wealth
racial
and
issue.
class and capitalism and stuff.
So anti-racist is an umbrella term for anybody that's a social justice warrior.
Hey, do you think our economy is headed in the right direction? Even with Trump back in office, fixing things is not going to be easy. Elon Musk warns of temporary hardships ahead with over $36 trillion in debt already spent and inflation creeping back up. Prices are rising and your financial independence is at risk. That's why Priority Gold created the Free Wealth Preservation Guide to help you shield your savings from inflation, government overreach, and economic uncertainty. Text GUIDE to 24999 to get your free guide now and discover 3 strategies to defend your wealth before it's too late. Visit prioritygold.com or text GUIDE to 24999 today.
Do you feel like there are systemic injustices, if you want to call them that, or barriers that are forcing, poor black people to live in these poor neighborhoods and to live out that lifestyle? Or is it just a generational cultural thing where they raise that way and that's all they know and that's what they...
Sure, democratic policies, sure.
You
Are
can
systemic.
certainly, I think you can make the argument that there have been systemic policies, so to speak, like slavery. So someone's a slave, and then someone grows up in the idea of slavery, and therefore just looking at a certain class of people a certain way, that would be an example of systemic racism. But thankfully, we have abolished slavery.
Yeah, I'm saying today, and like the modern, a black kid grows up in a black ghetto, and he continues kind of the life of like, say, drug dealing or violence or the different things that are associated with being a poor black person in a poor black ghetto. Like, is that a systemic thing? Is it the system that's keeping him down, or like what culturally is?
So I think if you're defining system as something that is part of an entire,
because that's what they think it is. It's a monolith. It's a system,
right?
Like a political system.
But they're talking about the system of the United States, laws, that kind of stuff,
like white supremacist laws that are keeping him down.
Right, but I would say no. That's probably not what it is. It's probably more of like it could be the Lyndon B. Johnson years where they did do a lot of those things in the welfare state.
Yeah.
The welfare state is keeping
Democrat
people there. Democrat policies,
there,
Democrat-run cities. I mean, like, it's there. The proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? It's right down there in the middle. All the places where Democrats are the people in power. That's where the lowest income is. That's where all that stuff is.
By and large, I think that's probably true.
But I also think some of the cultural stuff with the Lyndon B. Johnson, like making it, like motivating black men to get out of the home, that kind of stuff. Obviously, we're kind of like going over stuff people have talked about, but making it better for black women to be single mothers and driving this fatherlessness, and there's no cultural like accountability, and people are fighting against this. There's people in the black communities fighting against all this stuff. Well, Larry
Elder who's been a guest on the
there's
podcast.
pastors. Yeah, there's pastors doing work like in this area, and so we're not the only ones that think this, and we're not white supremacists because we think it. It's just we don't agree that it's these policies that are coming down from conservative governance that are really causing black people to have.
This is an interesting one.
Problems.
Do race neutral policies exist? And it's like trying to lead you on to say like, well, no, that every policy is either racist or anti-racist. It has to be,
There are race neutral policies.
Yeah.
You can leave. You have failed the DEI
You
training.
fail.
No.
Yeah. What would you say if you were an avowed anti-racist? You really drank the Kool-Aid. What would you say to that question?
Drinking the Kool-Aid is a cultural reference that makes
you really ate the watermelon.
Cultural reference to when a bunch of white people killed themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
You really ate the Jell-O like Bill Cosby.
You really.
Who's the Jell-O? We're gonna get the Jell-O out, and everybody, we're not racist anymore.
Free Palestine.
I apologize for my racist behavior.
And my colleagues' racist behavior.
But it's okay because no one likes Bill Cosby anymore.
That's true. Now, this is interesting. Segregationists aim to exploit black spaces. And assimilationists aim to eliminate black spaces.
Okay, so segregationists aim to
exploit black spaces. Assimilationists aim to eliminate black spaces. You can't win for losing.
Assimilation is going to eliminate. Why have both been harmful?
Well, but separation or segregationists, that is what they would. That's what they're saying. You know, like these people are like, we need black spaces. We need you guys to leave us alone. We need white spaces and black spaces.
Stop saying places.
And Korean spaces and everyone. And we'll just all separate out on the college campus. And and then they're saying, no, to assimilate is to eliminate black culture.
To assimilate is to eliminate.
Is to congregate.
And we must
eliminate and segregate.
Anti-racist.
Man, parents just don't understand.
Anti-racist.
Eliminate. To segregate. To mediate. Try
I'm
not
Ibram.
to hate.
My name is Ibram. I'm here. I'm from the streets of Harlem. I'm
trying to eliminate all the hate.
Illuminate.
My wife was trying to think of the word
meditate.
Harlem Globetrotters.
Alleviate.
Or the term Harlem Globetrotters yesterday, and she said it in the funniest. Oh, sorry.
Love your mate.
Harlem Globetrotters here.
She said, like, is that the same thing as the hobgoblobers? And I'm like, and I translated it, and I was like, Harlem Globetrotters? She's like, oh yeah, that.
The Hoblin Globetrotters?
Like, not a single syllable was correct, but I knew exactly what she was talking about.
That's amazing.
Black places.
Because my wife is not an anti-racist, clearly.
Right.
What does resistance mean to you?
Star Wars. The sequel
the
trilogy.
First Order.
It doesn't mean this?
It was the lamer version of the Rebel Alliance.
Oh, that's right. The Resistance was the good guys. Even though they were the majority, they were the Resistance.
They were still the Resistance.
What happens if
just
we
like
don't
Democrats,
resist?
actually.
Yeah.
The majority and still the Resistance somehow. Well, we've pretty much eked all the gameplay that we're going to get out of this thing. What is your guys' review of Ibram X. Kendi's first foray into board game design?
How many stars can we give it?
I like that it's open-ended. I mean, it really just doesn't end.
It's an open-world game.
It's an open-world game.
There's no right way to play it.
You just kind of quit whenever you want. However, there is also no win condition.
There's no way to win.
Yeah.
You always lose.
You always lose. It's a really good Arkham horror game.
Like a Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah. Just no cosmic monsters, just the inner monsters of the soul.
I think you win if you hate yourself. I think that's where you win.
Well,
this game.
Ibram X. Kendi wins.
I think
you win if you lose.
Yeah.
I think only people who hate themselves would play this game.
That's true.
I will say the positive thing about this game. I really like the size of these cards. This is a very non-standard. Like, I would like more games to use this card size, like for a player card or a character card, using one of these guys.
I feel like if you did that, you would be asserting your whiteness on
exploiting black
the other.
space
You would be
places.
exploiting a black space.
Well, see, what's interesting about these cards is that they are big, but if you could see through the camera here, the text doesn't even take up half of it.
I know, it's very strange. Like, they're trying to go for the stylized.
So I don't know why they did
Very
that.
bad card design. I agree with that. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes probably some of those quotes by Kendi after the large letters are probably really long. They're probably paragraphs.
But look at this. Like, this is such a small font compared with some of these other ones. It's very strange.
There's a question mark on it, though, so you gotta.
Also,
that's how you know.
the size of the cards reminds me of tarot cards, which is witchcraft.
Well, the other thing is, there's a question, and you wouldn't know they were questions because they really are just statements. So there's a large question mark.
But they put the large question mark. Like, it's kind of
so there's a question. Yeah. These are all just statements that you're supposed to accept.
But I will agree to an extent that I like larger cards more than smaller cards. Like, you know, you get out...
In general, like, I don't want to be hard to shuffle, though. If you had to shuffle this all the time, I would be upset.
Oh, yeah. Like in Ticket to Ride, you get the little tiny caboose, colored cabooses, and you're shuffling them, and it's just these tiny little things, and you can't shuffle them.
You need the 1912 expansion. Is that what it is? There's 1910 expansion.
They have normal size cards?
It comes with big cards, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you need that expansion.
1912, eh?
1910, maybe?
Oh, wait, no, you can't do that because that's when segregation was around.
Oh. You just
lost
through action,
the anti-racist
through both
thing.
action and inaction. I just supported racist policies. Wow.
That's impressive.
Another criticism I have for this game is they have these different colors like dialogue, awareness, action cards and warm-up cards.
Yeah.
And there's not much difference between the
No.
cards. Like, I thought it would be cool if, like, warm-up question, and it's like, what color socks is everyone wearing today? You know? Like,
Or
I want a warm-up
it's
question.
more like
yeah.
icebreakers.
Like icebreaker, yeah.
Yeah.
What
Like-
race are you?
What? Tell us something very deep about yourself, like the color of
what's
your
your
skin.
favorite race? Like,
Yeah.
Elvish.
Yeah.
and then they should have trap cards
Ooh.
that are like, I ask you a question, yes or no, and there's a right answer, and it's like, boom, you failed.
Unfortunately, they are kind of old trap cards.
Well, that's true.
No, for us, they are. If we were people of color, these would all be like, you win.
But maybe maybe different types of cards would have made this game better, like multiple choice,
Yeah.
charades,
Charades are
act
always
out a
fun.
race, and we'll try, and we'll try to guess which one it is. Like,
What is cultural appropriation? Show me.
Show
like,
me.
they very much phoned this in, like where whatever this publisher is was just like, hey, this book is selling really well. We're gonna do a little card game,
I got this.
discussion.
My question is, who's going around buying that game?
Boeing.
Do you know what? You're right. It's probably
right?
all the
Right,
DEI
it's the corporate
folks.
guys.
Yes.
No, this is what it is. That's how they make all their money. Is they go around and give these speeches for 50 grand or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they, as part of the speech package, they buy all the books, and then they're like, and you can get the kit for your.
You can get the kit.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
book and these
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
Well, Southwest
play with your
Airlines.
children.
Southwest Airlines announced that they are eliminating their DEI practices. So obviously they sold this to Goodwill.
And
So
that's
I
where
was
you
able
picked
to
it.
get it for $2.70.
They sold it to Goodwill.
So Walmart's doing the same
which is a
thing.
very racist move.
$1. We'll give it to you for $1.
I didn't even pay the full price. That's
You're right.
good.
They do not sell to Goodwill.
All right, I'm going to give this game 2 stars out of 5. I think it had some good production value with the giant cards, but the graphic design really took away from that. The rules are confusing. You cannot win. You're racist no matter what.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like there was an opportunity here to actually make something interesting, and they really dropped the ball. I would also like to add that there are no goblins
No goblins.
in this game.
Or trolls.
No goblins, no trolls.
And even though there are dialogue cards, they are not like dialogue
There's no
trees.
dialogue.
No dialogue.
No dialogue trees. No experience points.
No.
You don't collect any gold coins or open any treasure chests.
And there's no gems.
no gems in this game whatsoever. I'm going to say 2 stars out of 5. And even as a play this game because it's so bad that it's good,
This is not like.
this wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, it seems like this is not quite like a Left Behind game.
Oh, the Left Behind game is so fun.
We should get that. We never
Have we ever done that
Let's
on the
do
podcast?
that. Oh man, I'd love to play that game.
Next week, we are going to bust out Left Behind, the board game, which is one of the best board games ever made. And it has some of the most wonderful discussion questions.
Yes.
I think one of the reasons we didn't is that we kept thinking, oh, we should get Kirk Cameron to
Oh,
play
we
it.
never got him out here.
And then
Oh,
we never
yeah.
got him out here.
You know what would be interesting?
To get Kirk Cameron to play it?
I think that would be great. We should get Ibram X Kendi to play this game
Yes.
because he
man.
disagrees with many of those definitions. I think the one thing I'm seeing is why I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 is if you read Ibram X Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist or Anti-Racist Baby, you are going to get definitions that are not in this game. The game has different definitions that more align with a traditional understanding of what racism is.
Yeah, I wonder if you like emailed Ibram or you talked to Ibram and you were like, hey, here's what I think a racist idea is. An idea that suggests one group is inferior or superior to another group.
Yeah,
He'd be like, no,
that's
that's
not
not
it.
what it is. And I'd be like, well, in your game, it says
Yeah.
that. And he'd be like, you are being racist.
And you
sir."
say, got you.
And he would go like this.
Yep.
You are being racist
I mean, that's
by
why his name is
questioning.
X.
By questioning.
Do you think he plays Dungeons and Dragons?
No.
Doubtful.
Unless he plays the new version. He
Probably the new woke
He could
one.
play the
He
new
would-
woke one.
He would play.
He would play that.
You know what's bothering me is that you hand me the cards back and they were all kind of out of order.
And
And,
you
I'm
can't-
never going to touch this again. And I'm like, got to put them in order. Got to get
Yeah, you
them.
wanna-
Is that the
The
ordering?
warm
game?
up ones in the front.
Is that the ordering song? Gotta put them in order.
I feel like
Come
You
on,
don't-
kids, help me
you don't
gather
sing
the
that
board
song?
game pieces and sing the board game cleanup
Come on,
song.
Bucky.
Gotta put them in order.
gotta put these cards right back in their place.
Shuffle them up and they're ready for next time.
Every-
Kids are like, Dad, we don't want to.
We're gonna play the anti-racist deck tonight.
Come on, kids. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking, we're making fun of this new Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition refresh where it has all this woke stuff in it.
Which I think is not Well, 5th edition's now, so this would be 6th, but they're calling it D&D 1.
It's 5th edition refresh, basically.
Like 5.5 in a way.
And one interesting thing is it actually took a step forward on gender, because the previous 5e guide has a whole paragraph about as you create your character, come up with a gender identity for them.
Oh, it does?
The last book said it, and it says like, think about how you can subvert gender expectations and how you might surprise with your gender and delight with your gender.
I didn't realize
There's
that.
a whole paragraph. You're like, what? Which is so insane for a game where you can make up anything you want anyway. You don't need a paragraph that says that. If your group is all non-binary, knock yourselves out.
No
It's
one
your
cares.
game. Do whatever you want. And you have to include a paragraph so they feel special. Well, this new book says, there's like 5 bullet points. As you create your character, come up with a name, your age, your gender, your race, your class.
That's it?
That's the only thing it says about gender in the whole book. And I'm like, that's much better.
Maybe they just got lazy. Maybe they're tired of
It's weird that they like manually deleted the old woke line about it and added like this thing. It's much.
Well, they needed 20 more pages to tell you the rules about wheelchairs.
Yeah, it's probably true. They're like, we got to cut this down. Just put a gender line.
We have this giant spread of this guy in a wheelchair.
Hey,
Like,
Steve.
we need room for
Steve,
it.
this is great. It's too long.
Kill the gender stuff.
Please, you got to slay some babies.
Oh.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough of the Antiracist game.
I did.
Remember, until next time, Ibram
X. Kendi.
Kendi.
The Babylon Bee Podcast.